Season 1 of 2025. Let's see what sort of adventures that it has in store. And pace cars way through the corner. That wasn't the crest doing him dirty.
There right off the beginning is something you probably want to monopolize on right away, honestly, in a rain race.
Involved in that as well. Godin, I believe, is a newer racer. Oh, that's a big crash coming out of the corner. Renaissance mentioning all of those racers that... We saw him have that off-track moment not terribly long ago, and he has come back from a... Oh my God, that's a big wreck coming out of turn number 4. Multiple cars around. A little bit of contact going to Chris Montgomery as well. I saw that car kind of jerk around a little bit through that corner, but you can see Montgomery maybe got to size up a move on Colacio, as Colacio may try and get a move on. That is 5-6 cars covered by just about nothing on this racetrack. Nearly 4 wide through the corner. Look at Colacio going way deep into turn 5. He's going to lose out on that spot on Chris Montgomery and maybe Colacio. Too low contact being... Weekly Formula Vee Weekend Warriors crash 'em up wreckfest at the checkered flag. May God have mercy on both Josh and I's graphics cards because the event does. Well, hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome back to the Formula Vee Weekend Warriors. This is the 12th and final round of this season, coming to you today from VIR. My name is Ron Maunz. Alongside me in the commentary booth is Adam Thompson and Joshua Wilkie, who also is working all the cameras in the virtual production hauler. It's Champions Weekend here for the Weekend Warriors. We have 9 champions to be crowned this weekend, and to kick it off, we have the first 3. We're doing this race at VIR on the North layout to be a bit more precise, but more on that in a little bit. But because this is Champions Weekend here from the Weekend Warriors, I think we should probably touch on the championship point situations before we get too in-depth and talking about this rather unique and rather goofy looking racetrack. So let's load up the points and let's get started with Spec 1, where after crunching the numbers between the last round of the championship at Cadwell Park and this one here at VIR, pretty much everyone's come to the same conclusion. Tortolo is your champion here for Spec 1 for the Formula Vee Weekend Warriors. This will be his 2nd championship in a row, his 3rd in the history of this series, I believe, and for the 2nd time in as many seasons, he pipped Jason Green to that crown. That number 1 is going to stay on that car for Tolo. Nate Colacio is still rather close to Jason Green as well, so let's see if there's any sort of shuffling going on in that category between now and the end of this race. Spec 2, that's going to be the real interesting class. Let's get those points loaded up. Now, entering this race, Andrew Love seems to have the advantage. He's holding on to the championship lead at 601 points. Michelle Lynn really locked in a battle with him, though. Michelle Lynn, before she moved over to the Spec 1 category last season, she was the 2-time reigning Spec 2 champion here for the Formula Vees. So she is fast. Do not get us wrong, but Andrew Love, very fast as well. So that's going to be a heads-up fight between those two for that Spec 2 championship. Also rather close with Jason Grider and Travis Rail for P4 and P5. Only 1 point in it between those two drivers, with Russ Telker not completely out of championship contention, but realistically, he would have to hope for a miracle in the 260 car. So that's how it looks in Spec 2. Gonna take a quick look at the Masters category, where it has been the story of dominance for Jorg Mani. He is your champion in pretty much all of the Weekend Warriors in the Masters category, especially the Formula 4s, which you can catch tomorrow here on SMB. He has like a 200-point gap in that class or something ridiculous like that. But it has been a brilliant season up to this point, Josh. It looks like that Spec 2 category really going to be the only championship fight that we have our eyes on coming into this race. But you have experience running around this track, Josh, so I think you can attest to the rather bizarre nature of this North layout.
Yeah, it is it's a bit of a strange one for sure. VIR is definitely one of my favorite tracks out there for sure, and I think actually we're visiting it in the FFs tomorrow. Been doing a little bit of practice around here, but this is the North layout, and it does have a bit of an abrupt right-hander up into another part of the course there. But sometimes these club racing tracks have a bit of a kind of tacked-on feel. I didn't really find that about this one. I still like it. It's a pretty interesting little course. It's very tight. It's really small. I think it's probably pretty good for the V's here. But Adam, you've been driving around in these V's, off and on this season, and we've had a lot of draft tracks. We've had a few kind of sports car racy tracks. What would you say this one is?
Well, I would say that I would describe this track as tight and small, something that Ron Maunz is not. But we're sitting here. Obviously, this front stretch is going to be a very good passing opportunity into turn one. I haven't driven this track around this car around this track, but I would assume, knowing how these cars react and handle, going into turn one, we're going to see quite a few moves. And it's going to be interesting to see how the rear end of the car stays underneath everybody. That's going to be really fun to see. And obviously, this is the North course, but we still have the S's as well. I know, Josh, in the SRFs, that it was very tight through the S's in the SRFs, and I'm sure it's probably going to be just about the same here as well.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Through that section we just saw Michelle Lynn go through, I was just struggling in the SRF to get the power down properly, and you're just fighting understeer through there like crazy, trying to get the line. And really what you're trying to do there is just open the wheel. If you can open the wheel a bit more, you get a bit more speed out of it, but you can't open the wheel because then you end up in the rhubarb. So we'll see exactly how that works out today, but I think through that section is not, it's not going to be that easy as well. But I'm looking at Michelle Lynn here. Yeah, we got rhubarb all over the place. That's kind of why we say it. I used to say, when I was young, if you went off the bike trail or you dove for the ball into the woods, chances are you're going to end up in the rhubarb. So that's where that saying came from. I have ditched it in the rhubarb many a time myself.
See, we call that weeds, Ron. Do you have rhubarb over there in Philly, or do you just have weeds over there?
We've got many things around here that I'm not really sure should be there. I always have a joke that I like to make talking about the city of Philadelphia, how the squirrels and the birds and everything that just walk around this city are more wild than the animals we have in the Philadelphia Zoo. There was this one squirrel that bit a hole into a plastic trash can that we've got in this house. There was like a 5-inch hole in the squirrel. Just gnawed a hole in top of the lid. And I have no idea how that was managed, but they somehow do it. I'm not sure whether they refine their teeth on asphalt. I'm not entirely sure. Adam, how's the wildlife out there in Nevada? I can imagine they're rather gnarly out there.
We got lions and tigers and bear. No, we just have bears and deer, lots of deer and horses, wild horses as well. Speaking of wild horses, that is someone we were just watching. Michelle Lynn is probably one, if there was horses in iRacing, it would pop out in front of Michelle Lynn. There's not an anvil, in case, Ron, you haven't noticed on the top right-hand corner of the screen. She is sponsoring this broadcast, but I think she's trying to undo the anvil curse by throwing up the Daldime logo.
Yeah, I can't necessarily blame her for doing that. Yeah, the falling anvil, though, of course, I feel terrible the fact that has now become part of just Weekend Warriors vernacular, period. I created something absolutely terrible there. Michelle Lynn breaking at that umbrella and hoping that there are no falling anvils coming down on her today as we follow Jason Green heading his way out through NASCAR Bend right now. Josh, you've been with me the entirety of this season. Michelle, in her Spec 2 return, has been one of the most impressively consistent drivers thus far this season. Only has 2 Spec 2 wins, but she's been involved in that championship fight ever since the drop of the green flag at Brands Hatch back in December.
Yeah, well, as we alluded to before there, we have watched Michelle Lynn through the last, I would say, 2 seasons really go through a bad period there of just bad luck, really, at the end of the day. It wasn't really a lot of her fault. 9 times out of 10 she was getting caught up with something. But this season's been able to put some consistency down and do a little bit better this season for sure. So, you know, we will obviously love the sponsors and thank her for sponsoring more than one race this season either. So we got the Dull Dime logo that you can see up there right now in honor of Michelle Lynn sponsoring the race today. And hopefully, you know, we won't get any more anvils falling on each other. We're definitely, you know, having little mini daydreams and fever dreams every time I crash of anvils falling on me. And it's definitely gotten into the psyche, I believe, of the Weekend Warrior drivers. And it's definitely become a thing, Ron. So maybe we do have to change that up, but it's definitely a staple of the series now, I'd say.
Real quick, Josh, when you got into the sponsors and stuff for this season, especially for the FVs, I want to shout out all of the sponsors in the FVs as Guido Marzucchi finds his way into the wall. But yeah, the sponsors in the FVs, I was talking to Stevie Ray about this, and the FV sponsors was the first Weekend Warriors League to get all of the sponsorship lined out for this season. I mean, it's just unbelievable how far the Formula Vee Weekend Warrior Series has come, Ron.
Oh, it is absolutely incredible. From the first time that there was a broadcast of the Formula Vee Weekend Warriors, at least here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, I think there were some very early broadcasts done back in 2020, back when there was only 2 Weekend Warrior Series, that being the Formula V's and the Spec Racer Fords that you can also catch on Sundays here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. But ever since that first broadcast back in the summer, seeing this series grow and blossom into what it is today has been truly remarkable. I remember that first broadcast. I think it was myself and our esteemed colleague, Mr. Tim Cox, on the call for that one. It was at Brands Hatch. That was the first time Tim and I had worked together on a show in about, I'm trying to think now, it was probably since, probably November of 2023. It'd been a while since him and I worked together on a show, and Tim, absolutely amazing guy. Him kind of taking a step back.
You don't have to inflate his ego that big. He's just he's only a Brit, man. Like, his ego's already big enough just by being a Brit.
Truth be told, actually, you know, I started. I pretty much started racing in the WW because of Tim Cox and Ron and these guys. When I first started with another company there, I was doing some producing for these guys, and I really liked it a lot. And Tim Cox, being the consummate professional that he is there, one of the better announcers I have ever heard for sure. I wanted to honestly be in the Weekend Warriors so I could have Tim Cox say, you know, Josh Wilkie takes the lead. I wanted to hear that, and unfortunately, by the time I got to Weekend Warriors, he actually wasn't doing it anymore. But Ron was, and I've got to hear you guys say that now. So it all came full circle eventually. You know, Tim Cox is a great guy. We'd love to have him back around, but busy dude. But anyway, I'll let you guys get back to it.
Well, I mean, Joshua, the one thing we haven't been saying recently is Joshua Wilkie taking the lead, man. You got to fix that
for sure.
In Formula Fords and
we shall see,
buddy. But we're watching John Toms here, Ron. You want to take us on a lap?
Yeah, let's do a lap guide around this rather goofy version of VIR. 2.25 miles long, marked as 20 corners packed into that length, and it all starts here. This is turn number 1, the horseshoe. Such a good overtaking opportunity, but also an opportunity where things can go catastrophically wrong. You can see the asphalt rather polished there on the inside line. Not entirely sure what's going on there. Coming out of the corner, though, carrying the speed through turn number 2, switching over to the right-hand side of the track, arcing your way into NASCAR bend of turn number 3. Want to be a little bit careful on exit. Don't want to end up in the grass. Otherwise, you're going to take a trip into the runoff area on the outskirts of turn number 4 of left hook. Now, this is 5 into 5A. About to enter the snake section right here. This is super sketchy in all sorts of different race cars. And you can see in the Formula V's, maybe the least sketchy ride, considering it's just basically a small little meander of the wheel. But trust me, on lap 1, that is going to be sketchy. This is uphill. Turn number 7. Switching our way into the infield version of this circuit. Now, this is the S's through 8 into turn number 9 right now. That's turn number 10, carrying the momentum through that corner. Hit the apex into turn number 11 into 12 through 12A, and we completely skip at lucky number turn 13. Now into turn 14 and 14A of roller coaster. That section can catch out a whole lot of drivers. I've seen some drivers crash into each other through that section, and may see that again in this race. Now down into hog pen, turn number 17, carrying as much momentum as you can onto the start-finish straightaway to complete a lap of VIR that these drivers are doing right now in this qualifying session with the first times being set on the board.
Ethan Orr up there with a 141.1, extremely fast. And Ron, I want to talk about roller coaster section for just half a second. I remember when I said Ethan Orr was fast, by the way, Jason Green just took it away with Tortolo. Oh my goodness, everyone's flying around here. Look at all these lap times pouring in. Back to my original statement, sorry. Roller coaster. There's a wall on the inside of roller coaster that will spit you right back out onto the track if you get sideways or you wreck or you come into contact with somebody. That is going to be a spot that we have to watch today, I think, Ron, especially with the close proximity of how these cars race.
I know it's one section that I have a feeling is going to catch a lot of drivers at turn 7. The uphill bend. That corner is so hard to spot at. And I say this knowing fully well that Mr. Wilkie is with us on the broadcast. I think the first time there was a Weekend Warriors race that I was a part of around a track like this, I think I saw him get punted off into that corner.
Yes.
And you can just see, you see asphalt and then the grassy hill behind the barrier on the normal version of the track. If you go off there, you're going to find yourself into a realm that you don't think you ever want to be in. It is, you go off there and there are no words to describe how SOL you are if you run wide through turn number 7, especially on lap 1. That's a good overtaking opportunity. Drivers see that turn and be like, you know what, screw it. It's a heavy braking zone. Let's go for the move. And then they ping someone off into low Earth orbits.
I think the guy that, that may have punted Josh Wilkie off in turn 7 may have been a certain Adam Thompson. I can't remember. So, yeah, I am super sorry
I forget,
about
so
that
it couldn't have been that bad. I kind of forget. So I have a short memory for things like that. I get really fiery really quick, and then I forget pretty fast. So, but yes, I do remember being sideways here, and that corner's not, it's kind of blind as you're going into it. It's actually very blind, and as you're coming up over it, it just continues to be blind and blind and blind and blind. And you actually want to kind of get a little bit wide on it. It feels like a little bit of a parking lot at the top. You're not really sure. Yes. You like the inclination is to kind of want to stay to the inside, but you actually kind of want to go to the outside and use a bunch of the paint there. And it feels a little bit strange the first few times you do it, but pretty strange corner. You can't actually use the uphill a little bit so you can kind of throw the car into it, which just begs you to go faster and faster until you lose it. And I'm sure we'll see that today.
We're about to see Jason actually take turn 7, what we were just talking about here, and watch just even from this view. And the corner disappears, and all of a sudden, the corner exit is right there. You've got the grass, and look at how much grass Jason takes on the left-hand side of the first start of that S. I think that is the quickest way around here. These cars clearly don't have the power that the SRFs or the Formula Fords do, so you want to try to straight line as many of these corners as possible, as Jason may have gotten an off track there.
Yeah, it looked like he was definitely taking the path of least resistance there. That was a pretty good line. You can guarantee that Jason Green's going to have a good line through there, and that's kind of what it looked like, but maybe he made a little mistake there, Ron?
Potentially, certainly trying to find the limit of control and the limit of the track limits themselves, which you got to imagine whenever these drivers talk about practice, it's a mix of trying to get a good setup dialed in, which is certainly really important in these Formula V's when you want to arc it through the corners as much as possible and carry as much momentum as you can. Certainly very important to try and get a good setup nailed down around here, but also important to try and figure out the limits of where you can go in terms of the off tracks. What will give you a slowdown? Yeah, I mean,
we're talking about practice, Ron? Practice?
Yeah. Well, okay.
This is the race, Ron. We're not talking about practice.
Well, these drivers certainly want to know where the limits are. That's the point that I'm trying to get at here. They want to figure out what's going to cause them to get slapped on the wrist the least hard by the iRacing off-track and slowdown system. I feel like there's been certain drivers who probably picked up such disastrous slowdowns, especially in these Formula Vee Weekend Warriors races. In some of the draft-heavy races that we've seen thus far this season in VIR and Summit Point, you pick up a slowdown from the lead, you're going to find yourself in like P16 after serving like a second and a half slowdown. So that is super tough. I mean, Adam, you were on track for some of the races that we saw at Lime Rock and some of the other draft-heavy races throughout the season. So I think you can attest to how badly those slowdowns can come back to just bite you on the ass.
Yeah, especially around tracks like this. I mean, I know you said it was a bit of a smaller track, but it is still extremely drafty because these cars do not really have to lift that much, except what we're watching Brian Hansen going through roller coaster right now. There's not much lifting here, and there's not much, if any, aero wash either. So these cars will be able to stay super close together and draft most of this track. So if you do get a bit of a slowdown, which there are opportunities to do around this track, and it's going to be extremely tough to get all that time back, especially in the pack racing that I have a feeling we're about to see. Real quick here, though, in the chat, Trenton Kramer, hi, buddy. We've got Brian Suzinski, Jorg Monty asking, by the way, who's going to be the winner of the Masters? And right now, I think I'm going to be putting my money on Alan DeGasis, but you can never rule out Jim Brewster either, because that guy is quiet, but he's quick, and man, does he know how to battle.
Yeah, Jim Brewster is always going to fight you out there for sure. I've had the pleasure of racing Jim Brewster many a time in every series, and he's always going to put a shoulder up, and he's always there for sure. And certain tracks definitely has the pace. Looks like he's a little bit lacking some pace on DeGasis today, but you can never rule him out, especially like we were saying, going to be a big pack driving race today. Coming into this corner, I have a feeling it's going to be a little mayhem first lap too. We might lose a couple people.
I was just going to raise a point talking about Jim Brewster. He, 1 season ago here in the Formula Vee Weekend Warriors, came oh so close to taking an overall checkered flag. It was a photo finish with himself and Tortullo, and that was a super impressive performance from him. And even looking back throughout this season, he won the opening race of this season at Brands Hatch in the Masters category. First time we've had the Masters class here in the Formula Vee Weekend Warriors kick the season off with a win. Then the unstoppable machine that is Jorg Monty just completely, smacked everybody in terms of the Masters category. But he's not with us here this weekend, which is a bit of a shame. Little story for all of you tuning into this broadcast. A lot of you tuning in are probably either familiar with the Formula Vee Weekend Warriors Discord server, or you just know a lot about this series. But in the Formula Vee Discord, there is a channel called All Things Food, and Jorg shared a recipe the other day, and over on the Sunday broadcast here for the Weekend Warriors, Randall and I have interviewed Jorg Monty so many times that A, he's probably sick of both of our voices, and B, we don't even ask him is there anyone you want to give a thanks to or shout out question anymore, because he's had enough time to give, the Monty Python joke of thanking every single person on earth. Monty's gotten the opportunity to do that thus far this season. So come time for tomorrow, when he's going to seal the deal on the Formula Ford and Spec Racer Ford championships in the Masters category, he is probably going to be asked to share that recipe. I will not say what the recipe is. I will let him say that tomorrow. So, Jorg, if you're still tuning into this broadcast, make sure you have that written down by your sim rig. We are going to ask the tough questions. So, with this being my final week here in broadcasting and just in general in slow motion broadcasting, I'm going to start the thanks and the shout outs now here. And Jorg Monty is one of those drivers. Obviously, Josh, as you know, we ran together at Bathurst with Tyler Brown as well. So it was very, very fun. And I got to know Monty maybe a little bit too well. You got to know a lot about Monty, and I'm just kidding. Monty is a great person on and off the track. He does battle extremely hard, but man, he is a great guy, and I'm glad to be able to call him a friend. So, yes, Jorg, I cannot wait to hear about that recipe tomorrow afternoon. But it sounds like that we may have something to talk about here, Josh. We've got some V runoffs to talk about, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. So this weekend, during week 13 here, we are going to, as we always do, have a runoff. I believe we are on the 44th version of this runoff. We'll put up a little tile here this weekend, or next weekend. Sorry, I don't think it actually has a date on it here, but this will be 3 big races all day, 3 hours long. FVs, and SRFs. We're going to be doing all different categories. We will be announcing the track the day of the race, so nobody gets a chance to practice. And you can just have a quick look at this tile here with all the information that you need. Everybody can sign up, and we'll have the 44th Big Grid runoff here in a week or so.
Yeah, absolutely. Stevie is keeping the cards extremely close to his chest. Jason Green and I were trying to figure out exactly what they were going to do, and it's Stevie was like, "Do you want us to know? Do you want to know?" And I was like, "Hell no, Stevie. That takes all the fun out of it. We want to wait, so nobody knows what's going to happen next weekend. But it's going to be an absolute blast." Oh, you know?
I know, but I'm not allowed to be in it. I'm producing, so I get producer privileges. I do know for the first time in Weekend Warriors history for myself, actually, I do know where everybody's going, but I am not going to tell. But let's just say it's going to be an interesting one, guys, and always looking forward to those ones. Hopefully next time I'm going to get someone else to do it so I can do it. Maybe we can trade off producers back and forth. But Big V runoffs, always a blast, you know. Like, you think we're going to have a week off? Nope, we're going straight into it again.
Yep, I know. Yeah, this is one of the Weekend Warriors. I love the Weekend Warriors for this. And Josh, you're going to grow to hate the Weekend Warriors for this like I did, but they're still great people, is the fact that you've got absolutely no breaks in between seasons. It's just back to back to back. The racing just keeps on coming.
Relentless racing. Yep, it's true.
I like how you two gentlemen say that to me, as I've been on these broadcasts, with the exception of a few seasons ago, for coming up to nearly 2 years at this point. I was actually working it out. I've done 73 broadcasts now since January 1st. May God have mercy on my soul. I think the qualifying session has come to, actually, no, it is still coming to a close. About 20 seconds left to go in that. But I am going to say, in reference to the Week 13 runoffs, if we don't see one of those races take place at the Slinger Figure 8, I will personally protest, and I will start speaking in, I was going to say start speaking in tongues during the broadcast, but that's not a protest at all. That's basically how I usually go about being on the air.
Well, here, I will say this about the runoffs, but while we wait for the grid here, Stevie and I have gotten pretty close, and we were talking one day after the podcast, and I was like, Stevie, here's the deal. XSLR was going to put on a Figure 8 race at the end of the season, but if you do it, maybe we won't have to. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. That's all I know. But Trenton Kramer, by the way, is offering five iracing dollars to you, Josh, if you tell him.
$5, eh? I think you might have to sweeten the pot just a little there, Trenton, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But you never know, eh? Maybe some tips. He's pretty quick out there, man. That showing at Cadwell, maybe I can get some tips off him. That'd be worth more than $5.
There you go. Exactly.
We'll talk, Trenton.
I think before we get our own slow motion broadcasting bribing scandal underway, let's take a look at the starting grid. Jason Green going to be starting from the pole. James Matthew Sheldon, who's been rather impressive in his sporadic appearances thus far this season, going to occupy that second space on the front row. Tortella looking to cap off another championship, going to be starting this race in third, next to Nate Coliseo in fourth. We have Jesus Rodriguez, the champion from a few seasons ago, going to be starting this race in Heat 5. Guido Marzuki in sixth. We'll note, Oak Tree has been turned into a lake, if you can see on the top end of the screen. That's unfortunate. Ethan Orr will be starting from the Spec 2 pole. Alan Degassis will start from the Masters pole, those two occupying the fourth row. Then Parvinder Ladar in ninth. Suleiman Khan going to round out your top 10, Josh.
Yeah, and then we have Andrew Love in 11. We have Jim Brewster in 12. Sorry to step on you there. Adam. 13th, our sponsor, Michelle Lynn, sponsoring today's Formula V race and a few other V races this year. Kurt Nunez in 14th. Russell Telker in 15th. Jeff Jacobson in 16th. Michael Laturo in 17th. David Fitzgerald in 18th. Dan Straczynski in 19th. And Christopher Serrano in 20th. Adam, you can take the rest.
Stevie Ray, my man, starting in 21st place. Nick Tolo in 22nd with Jason Grider in 23rd. Brian Hansen starting in 24th. 25th is going to be John Toms, David Tamira in 26. Travis Rail in 26. 27th is Xander Verbrugge, 28th Trip Isley, and to round out our 29-car grid this afternoon is going to be David Tamira. From the Indonesian Racers, is this a new driver? I've not seen this driver on the grid yet.
I think he has made a Weekend Warriors appearance before. That name is familiar to me. Not entirely sure where it's familiar from, but nevertheless got a lot of drivers set to take the final green flag of this season. And it's going to be the Green himself, Jason Green, start from the pole. They're wrecking already. Going on to that start-finish straightaway. Jason Grider got a piece of that action. That's a big incident, hanging down to take the green, but the green flag is that, and the drivers are on their way. James Matthew Sheldon swapping sides early. He may pick up a penalty for that, as we already got some side-by-side in 3 wide action, nearly heading down into turn number 1. Look at James Matthew Sheldon trying to sweep around the outside of Jason Green, heading off through turn number 1. It was Jason Greider and Brian Hansen involved in that incident, but here we go. These drivers shuffling already, heading down into turn number 2. James Matthew Sheldon looking to grab the lead. He does it from Green, riding on board with Ethan Orr, trying to make up some moves still on the outside of Nate Coliseo, heading down into turn number 4, Adam.
Yeah, Guido Marzucchi is hanging out right behind him. Guido Marzucchi doing a great job just hanging back there in 6th position at the moment. James Matthew Sheldon got the move done early, and there is something I want to talk about. I did have an incident with Jason Green at this track after turn 1. It was 3 wide there, so keep an eye out for that. When things start getting spicy, there is a very good chance of incidents happening, especially looking at how aggressive James Matthew Sheldon was. And speaking of aggressive, Tortolo all over the back of Jason Green right now.
Yeah, absolutely. What a great first lap here so far. We have a pretty good snake of cars going. Looks like everybody's single filed out. James Sheldon being able to make it past Jason Green here on the first lap, with Thor just behind here, and Coliseo looking very racy today as well.
Yeah, he is. That Chiquita Banana car. I try to come up with a pun, Ron. Give me a pun for a Chiquita Bananas and fast aerodynamics. I don't know.
The Chiquita Banana car clearly slipping through the air, heading onto that start-finish straightaway, nearly slipping off the track, though, coming out of Hog Pen as side-by-side racing with James Matthew Sheldon and Jason Green at the end of this first lap. It's going to be a drag race down to the line, and look at Tortello trying to make it 3 wide already. This race is spicy. If it gets any more spicy, I may have to get my tongue stuck to an ice pack yet again. Side-by-side racing, heading down into turn number 1. Nate Coliseo going side-by-side with Ethan Orr as well. Orr, the driver of the 222 car, has been oh so quick throughout this season and did something that no one else has been able to do so far with the Formula Vee Weekend Warriors, and that is be a non-Spec 1 driver to grab an overall win. He did that at Thruxton for round number 5, and he has been fast ever since. If we see Ethan Orr full-time next season here for the Formula Vee Weekend Warriors, he may be a very good shot for winning that Spec 2 championship. Hey, he may even be in the consideration for a Spec 1 promotion. Hint, hint, Josh.
Yeah, you never know. I don't know. You want to move up to that S1 class too quickly. I've learned that lesson very well this season here. But, you know, I'm really impressed at the way, just watching Jason Green through that last lap there and Tor, the way that they're placing their cars. You can see that, you know, there's always going to be a bit of an attack on a few of these corners, and you know it's coming. And it's all about just placing that car correct. You can really see Jason Green in there using that gray matter to play chess with the cars around him and placing that car just so well everywhere, making sure that Tor couldn't get by him. And something you definitely want to watch there between those two. Their car placement's just fantastic.
That was good, Josh, because Jason's kind of got like a chessboard, you know, livery. So that was good.
You're right. Yeah, little checkers going on there. Yeah.
Not bad, but here we go. Looks like James Matthew Sheldon went low early. Tor hung out on the top next behind Jason Green.
Boy.
Just kidding. Tor forcing it 3 wide, and don't look now. Ethan Orr back there behind these 2, behind these 3. Things could get real spicy here now. Is Ethan Orr going to be able to get to the inside here of Jason Green? Jason might lose a lot of positions, Ron.
And here we go, 6 cars covered by nothing, heading down into turn number 1. 2 by 2 coming out of the corner. James Sheldon and Tortolo were side by side. Ethan Orr and Jason Green still are. This, I don't have a good feeling about side by side. 2 by 2 heading down into turn number 2. Through 3 right now. Look at Nate Coliseo slipping through in the Chiquita Banana car, trying to get that move done on Ethan Orr. Now into turn number 4. Let's see how this is going to shake out. Orr on the inside line, going to slip his way past. Rolls reverse with the Chiquita Banana car slipping back.
Yeah, be careful here, though, because I just saw that. Look at that battle. Look at that gap now between Jason Green and Tortolo. It's about 0.6 of a second. These are things that you cannot do. You cannot let those lead drivers get out and away from that slipstream, because it is game over knowing how fast James Sheldon and Tortolo are.
Yeah, that is for sure. And you know that they're going to be out there too. They know Jason Green's fast, and if they can pull away from him, you know, the smart thing to do would be to work together and try to pull away from Jason. And that's going to be extremely hard to do today, but it looks like, you know, they got a bit of a gap going there. Such a small track. I have a feeling we are going to be just a hornet's nest right to the end here. And really, it's going to be come down to making good decisions and not ending up off the track, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Someone call the exterminator.
So I want to mention here, shout out, looking for biggest movers here. We don't have that many biggest movers. People up 3 positions. Jason Greider obviously took a massive hit at the beginning of the race, so not very many positions gained or lost. 3 wide again down the front stretch.
Yeah, these drivers are going to make this a common occurrence all throughout this race. Let's see who's going to win it at, though, heading down into turn number one. James Sheldon on the inside line. Looks like he's going to grab the lead. Tortello still side by side with Greenhouse. I think there may have been an incident involving Alan DeGas is in the 927 car. He's dropping down like a rock. Michelle Lynn dropping down the running order as well. That's not good for her. As it stands currently, Andrew Love, the second place runner in that Spec 2 category. That's enough for him to grab the Spec 2 championship. Unless Michelle Lynn in the 215 car Philly represent has anything to say about that. Look at this pack of cars. 6 cars covered by practically nothing at the north end of the field. But here was the incident involving Alan DeGasses in the 927 car. You can see him heading his way down into turn number 1 right now. 3 wide. You can see Andrew Love on the outside. That's Parvin Ladar, I believe, in the 432 car. And 432 into 1 does not go well. As they bounce, both of those cars got damaged. DeGasses spun around. And with the pack of race cars that we have, he decides to take the high ground and tow. I don't even think he's in the race anymore, so that is game, set, match for Alan DeGassis.
It is, and then we're watching Michelle Lynn here, and then if you look, you're going to see a red blur already gone past right there. That is Jim Brewster. He has inherited now the lead of the Masters class. Jim Brewster now sitting in 10th place with Kurt Nunez in 12th. So Jim Brewster, remember we talked about how quiet he was. Tam thought that was funny. Tam, we all know Jim is not a quiet person either, but on the racetrack, sometimes he can be. And yes, there is Jim Brewster now sitting in 10th place. James Sheldon, though, under attack again. 3 wide again. Same 3 drivers, Ron.
Yep, I can't say I'm surprised at this point, but here we go. We got some side-by-side racing going on right behind them. Nate Coliseo and Ethan Orr still giving us some good battles to talk about. These drivers go 3 wide into turn number 1 like a habit more than anything else. Ethan Orr, who riding on board, was still running that Christmas livery, which, not sure, that's neither here nor
Honestly,
there.
Ron,
Nate Coliseo.
Listen, this is about like leaving your Christmas lights up all year, right? Because eventually it becomes Christmas time again. And then he's in the holiday season already.
I think
definitely a lucky livery for him
reference
there, for sure.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, it served him very well thus far this season, but I think maybe some Easter paint schemes may be a good idea. Go Easter egg hunting in these race cars. That'd be good for an Easter race. Just have a bunch of cars that look like Easter eggs. I'm getting ahead of myself. Side-by-side racing. Maybe got flare-up involving Jeff Jacobson, Jim Brewster, and Michelle Lynn. 3 wide into turn number 7. I don't have a good feeling about that at all. That could have ended in absolute disaster, Josh.
Yeah, you don't usually see cars going even 2 wide through there, and we just saw a 3 wide, and then just behind them here with Nunez, I believe that's Laturo as well, also went 2 wide through that corner. So we got all kinds of shapes being cut out there today, and some really, really good driving here from everyone. It looks like, it actually looks like people have been practicing this track a bunch because, man, we haven't really seen too many off tracks. We haven't seen too many incidents. It's pretty good here so far, and yeah, I'm pretty impressed with it, to be honest.
Josh, I got 2 biggest movers here for you. If you go back 1 position from 14th place, it's going to show a very, very brightly colored red, white, and blue car of Stevie Ray moved up 6 positions. He's getting himself into the into the battle here for Masters class. 3 wide again, though.
Whoa.
Down turn 1. My goodness, it's getting closer and closer every lap run. We're not even 10 minutes into this race. If we're this close to the beginning of the race, imagine what it's going to be like halfway through this race.
No, imagine how it's going to be come time for the checkered. We've seen some photo finishes around here in the past. I think we may have another one here today based off how these drivers are racing currently. Nick Coliseo, though, really putting the hard charger on around the outside through turn number 4. It was a matter of inches between himself and Tortello. Tullo not really backing out, but he doesn't have a whole lot to lose. Even if he DNFs in this race, Jason Green's still going to come up short in the championship for Spec 1. But Tortello looking to end this season off with a bang and hoping that the bang is going to be a pop of champagne instead of a bang into the wall. Look at James Matthew Sheldon wheeling it on the inside line through uphill of turn number 7. This is going to be sketchy. Heading off through the tight twisties in the mid-sector of this lap. Sheldon in the 108 car really not backing out, but you can tell based off the fact that Adam sounded like he sat on a cold toilet seat a few moments ago. This is getting real close, Josh.
That's got to be my favorite one for sure. That's definitely what it sounds like. That's hilarious. Yes. That's so funny. Yeah, unbelievable driving here from Sheldon as well. I can't believe these guys literally going almost 5 wide into T1 there. It's just unbelievable how many that they're able to hold it together here. We have about another 20 minutes of this, and I'm not exactly sure how this is going to sort out with Coliseo now taking the lead. I would have thought for sure this was going to be between Sheldon and Green, and it's really anybody in this entire pack here of about 10 cars race at this point.
Separated by a basically a little bit over a second. Look at a driver back there we haven't talked about yet. A couple rows back is Russ Telker. Russ Telker is a driver we have not talked about yet this race, and he's back in this lead pack. He's gained 7 positions to get himself up into this lead pack, Ron.
This is a very good performance for the driver. The 260 car finds himself running in 8th at the moment, P3 of the Spec 2 drivers. Ethan Orr, as much as he was probably thinking that he was going to have to battle tooth and nail to grab his 2nd overall win this season, he's going to have to battle really hard to get another win in the Spec 2 category this season. Andrew Love still within striking distance. Not sure if Andrew Love is going to push the issue too much, though, on the count of the fact he's, as it stands, currently on track for the championship in Spec 2. So we may see Russ Telker decide to be the one that forces this issue. I certainly wouldn't rule it out, and hey, may have to talk about some other drivers getting involved in that battle. Suleiman Khan, mainly in the number 53 car, they got a piece of the action as well. I was going to say that the pack had broken up a little bit, but as you can see them heading through the Titan Twisties, they simply have not, Adam.
No, they haven't. Every time you think one of these drivers are going to get into a 3-way battle and break this pack up, they just find a way to get back single file and back to the leaders. And this is not what the leaders want, because if you're Nate Coliseo, you are under fire every lap going into turn 1, like we're looking at right now. Watch these cars fan out going down the front straight.
Yeah, it looks like, honestly, they have started to kind of calm down a little. Now, right as I say that, they go 4 wide with a 5th guy kind of squeezing in there. Then they're 3 wide into T1. They just keep sorting it out so well every lap here, playing chess out there, or checkers, or however you'd like to play it. Checkers is probably a little bit more my speed, but they're out there just cutting shapes all over the place. And it looks like we've actually got 2 kind of packs forming now as well. If we look back here at Jim Brewster and Michelle Lynn and Kurt Nunez, we have a whole nother pack of drivers doing exactly the same thing the lead guys are.
Ron, this is an admin battle right here, and I would not want to be in that admin.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Something happens between Michelle Lynn and Jim Brewster right now. There's a wreck.
Oh, yeah,
Jeff
right
Jacobson
behind them.
It's Stevie Ray.
Yeah, that's not going to go down very well at all in the Ray Esports
Speaking
world.
of
One
admins,
person you don't want to crash into is Stevie Ray. Jeff Jacobson, I think, got the short end of the stick and all of that. That car looks to be wounded. He popped up into the air trying to do a wheelie, which is not very easy to do in a Formula V car without any sort of outside assistance. And I think the ramp in this case may have been Stevie in the 911 car. So I may have to load up a replay to see what was going on there. Perfect time for you to mention, hoping that there wasn't a collision as we were seeing Jim Brewster and Michelle Lynn. And right behind them, we got a fantastic view of the underside of Jeff Jacobson's race car in the number 40. That timed out about as well as it could have. That was the end of that incident as Jeff Jacobson landed back on 4 wheels. You can see already, I think there was one of the wheels had to be broken off of that car on the count of the fact it is scraping along, ending up in the grass, the most expensive lawnmower in the world. That's going to be a rather big bill for Jeff Jacobson at the end of all this as well. So let's see. Oh, actually, no. Okay, so Stevie, I'm trying to break down who that was. I think that may have been Stevie and Sander Verbruge that made contact. As Jeff Jacobson made contact with, I'm looking through, it may have been Christopher Siriano.
I think correct. I think you're right. Yeah.
314 car potentially.
Oh my goodness, what a move there, by the way, by James Sheldon. Just chops the nose off at Nate Coliseo going into turn 3.
It is hard actually to sell what is going on out there exactly. There's so many cars every lap. We've got about 10 cars here who could take it. Every lap you got about 3 or 4 lining, fanning out, and whoever gets latest on the brakes into the corner and happens to have the advantageous line is going to take it every lap. And that kind of seems to be the way it's going right now. And they're not even waiting around for T1 anymore, as we're seeing. He's just kind of, looks like he's actually doing a little bit of intimidating in the front there. He's trying to kind of throw people off behind him a little bit, see if he can cause an accident, maybe even back somebody into somebody else. That's what I'd be thinking right now anyway.
I think so. I think James is trying to maybe break a little bit of that draft, but it's not going to be enough, especially here. The more swerving you do, the slower you actually go in these cars, so that's probably not the best move to do. Nate Coliseo as well, with how close Nate was to James when he moved off the line and came back before the braking zone. He did get there before the braking zone, but that will be a bit more sketchy as we get closer to the end of this race. We're now halfway through it, Ron, and I'm going to let you commentate this one. They're too wide already again.
Yeah, they're too wide. I am calling it right now. I think we're going to see some 4-wide action hang down into turn number 1 between now and the checkered flag. Are they going to do it this time by, let's see, Jason Green, understandably so, I think backing out of that. 4-wide into turn number 1 would go down about as well as a lead balloon would in a thunderstorm. As Jason Green wheeling it on the inside. Yeah, still 3-wide hang on through turn number 1. This time with James Matthew Sheldon breaking away and Jason Green trying to get a move done to break his way into the podium spots. Here's a battle between the two. Oh boy, that could have ended in tears. Jason Green getting mega wiggly, heading off into NASCAR Bend. That could have ended in tears, and it has cost him a little bit of time. As Ethan Orr, boy, there's Ethan Orr going off the track. That's going to cost him a spot. Andrew Love, be careful here. That's now a battle for the Spec 2 lead. Andrew Love trying to win the Spec 2 championship. He doesn't want to get his elbows out too much. Otherwise, he may end up losing it right at the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely, Ron. Yep, he is definitely at threat here.
I'm sorry, Josh. I'm sorry. Michelle Lynn back there lurking, but Russ Telker as well is still back there. He is definitely in a bit of a battle in the championship points, but Michelle Lynn has got to find a way past one of the most difficult racers I've ever had to race against in Jim Brewster.
Ooh, that's true. Absolutely true. Jim Brewster has wide shoulders. He races every corner. It doesn't matter if you are looking for a championship or not. He is not going to think about that at all. He's going to try to keep you behind him, and that's what makes it fun to race Jim, honestly. He's fair, but he's very, very, very stiff in the shoulders for sure. It's hard to get around this guy. As you can see here, I'm sure Michelle Lynn has been trying to get past him lap after lap after lap here, and it's just not going to happen. We'll see if he can't follow this pack for a few minutes here, as we are definitely up front every lap, just changing position here, but we'll give these guys a little bit of love. Andrew Love really does have to keep himself clean here. There is a competition, or sorry, a championship on the line for him.
Let's see these racers coming out of that first corner, which has it seemed to be a very good overtaking opportunity at this race. I will note, though, that Andrew Love running in 4th, kind of seeing this pack break up a teeny tiny bit. Nate Coliseo, Tortolo, and James Matthew Sheldon occupying the current overall podium spots as it stands currently. It's now coming up to 1.3 seconds between James Sheldon in 3rd and Andrew Love in 4th. I wonder if that gap ballooning out has been as a result of the battling that we've been seeing go on all throughout this race, or whether or not Andrew Love getting up to the front of the field has kind of broken it up a little bit. Is Andrew Love acting like a rolling roadblock? That's a little bit mean to say, but if he is acting like a rolling roadblock, who's going to be the first to try and strike here, Adam?
We'll fill that one in. Yep, it does look like that's exactly what's happening here. And of course, no disparaging to Andrew Love, very fast driver out there, but it does look like either he's putting up a pretty hard defense here to try to keep Jason behind him, which is really only causing a gap between him and Sheldon, Coliseo, and Tor, and that's just not really going to help anybody. So, you know, if Andrew was thinking right now, I think he would let Jason by, try to attach on to Jason and see if he can't make that gap back up so they all have a chance again. But honestly, in Andrew Love's position, he doesn't know anybody anything right now, and he's got a championship on the line, so that's what he's thinking about out there, I would imagine.
Meow.
And yep, I was expecting that at some point. Anyways, getting back to the point that I was going to raise a couple of moments ago before the cat impression threw me for a loop, as it usually does. It's still got the battling going on. Tortola now in the race lead. Nate Coliseo slot in P2. James Matthew Sheldon occupying the final podium spot as it stands currently. We got a battle for the Masters win involving Jim Brewster, Kurt Nunes, and Stevie Ray. You can see those cars covered by practically nothing, heading their way off into left. Oh boy.
Good avoidance from Stevie
there. Kurt Nunes and Stevie Ray nearly coming to blows through turn 4.
Hey,
excellent avoidance
Jason
there
Green,
for sure.
Jason Green has said this multiple times to multiple different people. Whatever you do not wreck Stevie. There's one thing you can't do if you are in a Weekend Warriors race is don't wreck Stevie. let Stevie wreck you because Stevie, I'm sure you're going to watch this broadcast back. Remember Lime Rock, buddy? There's a reason you got black flags on your helmet during the podcast. But anyways, moving forward, we've got Stevie, Kurt, and Jim still sitting there in 13th, 12th, and 11th. Now, the one thing that is saving Jim Brewster right now is he's holding on to the back of Michelle Lynn. Now, remember what we said, Josh, about Jim being aggressive but fair. What do you do if you're in Jim's spot? Because I don't think Jim is ever one to lift out of an opportunity to make an overtake.
Yeah, I think right now, he puts up a hard defense even sometimes when there isn't really a whole lot to defend, and there's a whole lot to defend right now. So I would imagine that defense is going to be even more robust as usual. And then on top of that, you have Michelle Lynn out here as well, who's definitely showing some pace today and leading these guys, able to stay out front this whole time. But it does look like maybe, Brewster and Nunez here. And unfortunately, Nunez is going to clip Michelle, and that will take him out of that race. Really unfortunate there. We did get a few cars through it. Yeah, it looks like we got a few cars through.
Oh, wow. I just want to talk about that for half a second. Look at Stevie Ray now leading the Masters class. This is not a driver that I would ever say was going to be one to win a Masters class in the Formula V's. We were talking about this. Stevie hasn't won in his class in forever, Josh.
Yes, this would be an absolutely awesome showing for Stevie, and he's been out there kind of just holding it together, right? He's been able to survive through these incidents here. He was right in the mix with everybody else. I saw some really good avoidance out of him at least once or twice now, and that's what you need out here today. Like we said in the beginning, you have to survive these races. It's a tight, small track. The V's are going to be packed together, and if you can survive it, sometimes this is what's going to happen. And now Stevie Ray just in free air out here. He's just got to hold it together. Jim Brewster not too far behind, but as long as he can keep his pace up here, I think Stevie's got a real chance at taking Masters today.
I think he does. He's just got to hold on to the back of Michelle Lynn here. Now what Stevie needs to know, we've been talking about these admin battles, and this is wild to me that the Formula V admins between Jim Brewster and Michelle Lynn and the Weekend Warriors owner of Stevie Ray are all involved in a battle. And speaking of battles, look at this, Rod. It's getting spicy now, buddy.
Yeah, you know how I said the front three broke away? You could take that and throw it at the goddamn window. These drivers are vacuum sealed together, packed in like sardines. The top five currently covered by 0.6 of a second, heading their way down into NASCAR Bend. I was going to raise a couple of laps ago before the chaos broke out for the battle for the Masters win, which may go the way of Stevie Ray if he can hold on to the pace between now and the checkered flag. I was going to note that the battle for Spec 2 was really flaring up. Andrew Love, Ethan Orr, and Russ Telker were covered by nothing. They're still really covered by nothing. Russ Telker kind of got the short end of the stick and got pushed to the side not terribly long ago. He now finds himself in 8th, about 0.7 of a second back of Ethan Orr, who are riding on board with in P6. P2 of the Spec 2 drivers as it stands currently. Andrew Love looking to win the championship in the Spec 2 category with a win here as well. That would be a rather good performance for him, and let's see if he can hold on. Still got less than 7 minutes left to go in this race, though, which in the Formula V Weekend Warriors, Josh, you can attest this because you've been alongside me in the commentary booth all season long. 7 minutes, just about anything can happen in that period of time.
Oh, that's at least time for 130 moves at the way this is going, for sure. We're going to have at least 5 wide 10 more times. It's absolutely nuts out there, and being able to hold it together like this is, just, again, big testament to the drivers here, the mental fortitude that it takes to stay together 3 cars wide every single lap, 4 cars wide every single lap, and be able to sort it out. It's just really difficult stuff, and shows, just how good these drivers out here today. We've really, really been able to curate an awesome series here, and we're getting to see it full display right now.
Lee Thompson, if you ever watch this broadcast, and trust me, buddy, I know you do, we need an overtake meter. We need some overtake graphics, number of overtakes per race, please.
Oh, that's
Lee,
a great idea.
I know you watch slow motion broadcasting. You need to get on that, buddy. Thank you.
That would be a great idea, yep.
I didn't know where you're going with that, Adam. I was like, not touching that one.
Oh, he's a friend
live
of
action
we're all
and talk about Yeah, we like to have a good time here. Yada-da-da-da-da-da-da-yada-da-da-da-da. We got about, boy, less than 6 minutes left to go on the clock as it stands currently. These drivers whittling the laps away. Now 15 laps on the board right now, 15 and a half. And we find these 15 and a half laps to result in Nate Colascio leading this race as it stands currently in the number 8 car. He hasn't been swimming in victories thus far this season, but he has been quick. Do not get us wrong. He is fast in the Formula Vee Weekend Warriors. Won earlier on in the season at Lime Rock Park. I'm going to have to double check my my notes to see as whether or not he has won some other races throughout this season
Ron,
as well. Yes?
I got to stop you real quick here. I don't want to be looking at Nate Colascio right now. I want to be looking at Tortolo, and I want to be looking at Jason Green. That is the position you want to be in. Watch Jason and Tor actually battle for that third position. You're not going to want to be on the lead. You're not going to want to be in the lead coming out of the final corner on the final lap of this race.
I mean, let's harken our minds back to Summit Point a couple of weeks ago where Tortolo exited the final corner in 4th. He crossed the start-finish line in 1st to win the race by a matter of hundreds, if not thousands of a second at the end of 30 minutes of racing action. So if anyone can prove that you could be anywhere, I mean, granted, you probably don't want to be 22nd coming out of the final corner. I'm not sure if that's going to convert to victory unless you're in a NASCAR race, which anything can happen. But in these Formula V's, any driver that you see on screen right now has a real good shot of backing that car into victory lane and spraying some champagne at the end of this race, Josh.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, so many good drivers out there. There is at least, well, man, I mean, realistically, there's about 9 drivers here that could take the win today, and that's just the beauty of these Formula V's, man. It's every week we have a bunch of S2 drivers. We have a couple S1 drivers. You even have Stevie Ray here almost in the top 10. So just an amazing series and awesome championship. Great way to wrap it up here at VIR on this track as well. It just seems to be racing really good today. Wasn't expecting it to be quite so racy, but we're changing position, in places that I didn't even expect it to be happening, Ron.
Yeah, it has been a brilliant race up to this point. This north layout of VIR, I don't know what it is, despite the fact that this track, outside the start-finish straightaway, you don't really have a long flat-out blast around here. It has put on some brilliant racing action up to this point. I mean, these Formula V's, they can put on some good battles anywhere. I wonder if for Week 13 we could be running at Daytona. Wow, that would be fun. Not even the road course, the oval. That would be a riot. Speaking of a riot, I don't know why my voice shot down like 5 octaves there a couple of moments ago. I was saying riots. Let's take a look at this riot of a fight heading down into turn number 1. Colascio on the inside, Tolo on the outside. Someone just went too far on the outside. That was Andrew Love. I think he dipped the wheel off into the dirt. That's going to cost him the lead in Spec 2. Still got to be pretty good for the championship. But right now, Andrew Love and Michelle Lynn running in P9 and P10. Granted, there's about 12 seconds between the two of them, considering that this front pack has just completely disappeared off into the distance, and Michelle was kind of used as a ramp not terribly long ago. Oh, yeah, that was nearly coming to blows with Telker and Love there, Adam.
I want to say, I think Love was looking out his mirror, and I think he took avoiding action there to make sure Russ did not get into him. You're right, Ron. Andrew is mirror driving big time. That's James Sheldon. James Sheldon off the road. That is not good for James Sheldon. I wonder what happened there if there was contact. Nate Colascio now in the lead.
He is going definitely to lose touch with the pack. Now, let's see if we can't find out what happened to James Sheldon here. It looks like he's just going to probably a little bit of contact with Tor and gets pushed out wide, Ron.
Yeah, that was really, really rough for Sheldon. He was driving a very good race up to that point, but for the second week in a row got involved in that incident with himself and Tortolo at Cadwell Park 1 week ago. That kind of took those two out of the battle for the win. And hitting down, contact being made. Unfortunate. I think Sheldon kind of put that on himself, Adam.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, though, for Sheldon. I don't think he expected Tor, because Sheldon had a much wider line going into the corner. He was going to be able to carry a bit more speed. Tor had to slow it down just a little bit more to get to that apex. That's what caused that. That is the definition of a racing incident. And I am going to talk about my man, Jason Green, in the lead of the race right now.
Whoa, and that's Ethan Orr spinning, heading down into NASCAR Bend. That's going to take another car out of this fight. Orr dropping down to 9th. That was a wild off-track moment for him. They need to pull up a replay. It looked like a simple spin. Didn't think anyone came to blows with him heading down into the corner. Let's see if he got a hip check or whether or not this was self-inflicted. Oh, hit the grass, hit the curb. That was self-inflicted for Ethan Orr. Hit the grass, hit the brakes at the same time. And Josh, whenever you do that in these Formula V's, that's a recipe for spinning around like a top.
Yeah, absolutely. That's just exactly right. He kind of asked a little too much of the car at exactly the wrong time on exactly the wrong piece of road there, and that was it for Ethan. But man, oh man, we still have a just trail of cars here.
Oh, we're coming to the white this time by. I didn't even realize that we had such little time left in this race. The white flag now in the air. The checkered flag coming this time by. Jason Green, he's not going to be a good spot at all coming out of that final corner. Let's see how quickly he's going to get chewed up and spat at. I have a good feeling about Tolo. These two have given us a great championship battle all season long, and they're going to give us a battle right to the line. Tolo reeling him in, closing. Coming right to the line, side by side. Wilkie Tolo at the line, 9 thousandths of a second. Tolo wins it.
Oh my goodness, Tolo. Jason Green has said this so many times. He said if there's a photo finish, Tolo will win the race, and Tolo does it again by 9 thousandths of a second. Stevie Ray wins in the Masters class.
Absolutely. What a finish there from Tolo. Again, squeaks it by at the line. Unbelievable. Stevie Ray taking the win in Masters as well. Avoiding some stuff today, getting a great finish at the end. But what a finish, Ron. Holy cow. See if I can't roll that back for you.
Yeah, we're going to have to roll that back. Tolo timing that run to perfection yet again. Another photo finish at which Tolo is the beneficiary in all of that. Let's ride on board with him coming right to the line. It was a matter of inches between those two. A season of battles between Tolo and Jason Green ends with inches between those two drivers. Absolutely brilliant at the end of this season. Should be noted as well with his finish in this race. It wasn't the win in the Spec 2 category that he maybe had in mind. It was actually Russ Telker winning in the Spec 2 category at the end of all of that race, but finishing right behind, scoring that 7th place finish is going to be Andrew Love. He becomes your champion here for season number 1 of 2025 for the Formula Vee Weekend Warriors. He wins it in Spec 2, and when everything is said and done, Tolo going to grab the checkered flag in this squeaker of a finish right to the line. Tolo, the showman, going to steal the spotlight yet again, Josh.
Absolutely, and you can see here it is just by a hair. Basically, he just got it by a nose at the end there, and it's got to be a bit of a stinger for Jason Green after an amazing showing there. He was doing really good out there, just amazing car placement the whole race, but you know, right at the end, Tor was there, and he just got enough draft to get it. So great race from the top 5, even the top 9 guys there, guys and girls, was absolutely amazing. What a race, guys! Formula V season has just been fantastic.
Yeah, Tam does have a great question about the Spec 2 points as well, with Russ Telker winning that race in Spec 2. Now, I need you guys to understand that points are given out per position, not per class. I do know that Andrew Love was winning in Spec 2 coming into this, so that is one less point that Andrew Love is going to get, I believe, than Russ Telker. So it might be still Andrew Love's race. I believe Andrew Love wins Spec 2, Tam. I believe that's going to be how it goes. But Russ Telker, great job.
And as we see these drivers burn it down for one final time here for season 1 of 2025, an absolutely wonderful season all around the board here for the Formula Vee Weekend Warriors. Some great racing, some fantastic finishes, some funny moments on the air, some funny moments out there on the racetrack, and just an awesome year of growth with some of the highest ever participation in the history of this series. And as these drivers retreat to their cozy nook to smash the crap out of their race cars, I think it may be high time to take a look at the results at the end of the final race of 12 from season 1 of 2025. At the end of it all, the driver taking the checkered flag is going to be Tolo. It's not his first win of the season. It's certainly not going to be his last in his time with the series, but it's enough to grab his 3rd championship here for the Formula Vees. Jason Green yet again going to come up close. It was a brilliant battle between those two all throughout this season, and a brilliant battle right to the line. Jason Green's going to finish 9,000th of a second behind at the end of this race. Nate Coliseo will end up classed in third, which I believe will be the similar case in regards to the championship. Those three drivers were really at the top of their game ever since the drop of the green flag at Brands Hatch back in December, all the way through to the fall of the checkered here at VIR today. And continuing on your results, we find Guido Marzuki classed in fourth at the end of this race. SMB's very own Guido Marzuki in the number 19 car. Suleiman Khan will be classed in fifth. Russ Telker will grab the win in the Spec 2 category, but finishing second in Spec 2, it will be enough for Andrew Love to win your Spec 2 championship here for Season 1 of 2025. Finishing right behind is going to be James Matthew Sheldon. Ethan Orr will finish right behind in ninth, with Michelle Lynn breaking into the top 10 at the end of this race, Adam.
Yeah, we've got Stevie Ray sitting in 11th place. You have no idea how excited I am to say that. Jim Brewster sitting in 12th. By the way, Stevie, won Masters. Jorg, see what happens when you don't show up? We get a new winner. It's weird. Yeah, Stevie Ray sitting in 11th place, Jim Brewster 12th. David Fitzgerald comes home in 13th with Michael Lattarulo in 14th. 15th is going to be Nick Tolo. John Toms comes home in 16th with Parvinder Ladar in 17th. Kurt Nunez 18th. Dan Stasinski 19th. And Travis Rail going to round out your top 20. Jeff Jacobson 21st. Christopher Serrano in 22nd. Brian Hansen 23rd. Alan DeGasis with some serious anvils falling on him going into turn 1 in 24th. Jason Grider with even bigger anvils falling on him before the start of the race in 25th. Trip Isley 26th. Jesus Rodriguez, Sandra Verbruge, David Tamira, and Carl Burke round out your 30 drivers today. So I have done something here, by the way, Josh. I may or may not have hopped into the Formula Vee, broadcast booth, and I said, we kind of do something over here in SMB. At least I did. Final race of the season, I ask as many people as want interviews to come in and get interviews, because people that we haven't talked to throughout the season, all of that stuff. So I hope you're okay with it. All right, so I'm going to save a couple people for me. I want Stevie and I want Jason. Ron, you take the rest, or you take whoever you want.
And I think I will take dibs on the winner in the Spec 1 category and the winner of the Spec 1 championship, his second in a row. Tor Tolo joining us in the commentary booth. Tor, it's official. You're the champion. It was kind of decided. Everyone ran the math before this race, but capping off another championship, your second in a row with your 6th win of the season. Talk us through that squeaker of a race here at VIR.
Oh man, it was just chaos, you know. We were just tripping up over each other, and I just did not know what to do, but right at the end, I was able to perfectly get placed, and Jason almost had it, but...
You knew what you were doing, Tor. You've done this way too many times now to make it sound like an accident at this point, buddy.
Oh, you found me out. You found me out. Yeah, it was the white flag lap. I could have made a move on Jason, but I just knew that he would have got me on the draft, so I just begged for him to go through, and yeah, he was nice enough to. But yeah, it was a great race, just so much fun.
And I gotta say, for not the first time this season, not even for the first time in the past 3 races, you win a race by practically nothing at the end. Combine the winning gap at Summit Points and the one here at VIR today, I think it combines for like less than a half a tenth of a second, certainly far less than half a tenth of a second. So, Tor, I don't know what it is, you always end up getting the edge in those photo finishes. Is it just knowing how to position your car and being in positions like that so often? Or do you think you just have like the grace of random number generation Jesus behind you?
Well, I mean, I think it's a mix of just years of experience and a really, really good dash of luck. I mean, I've done hundreds upon hundreds of Formula Vee races, and once you get that far, you kind of can tell what's gonna happen to like a certain point. And yeah, so I just try and keep my car in the place that I think will be the best, and somehow it's working out most of the time.
Yeah, it works out very well for you, as it did just all throughout this season period. 6 wins, your second championship in a row. It was a really tough road for you to get here. You had the brief period of time in which you skipped out on 2 races midway through the season, returned at Sebring with a win, and ever since then, you never really looked back. So I want to ask you about your thoughts on just the entirety here of Season 1 of 2025.
Well, Ron, to cast our minds back to, I think, Laguna Seca last season, I remember, and this is completely fairly, by the way, I remember that you said that my consistency was like expired mayonnaise. And, I thought, I'm going to take that to heart. And yeah, I'm a lot happier with how I performed this season. I mean, there's the hiccup at Cadwell, but other than that, it was, I felt like I performed a lot better. And yeah, just really honored to be racing with these guys, especially Jason. It was, again, a great season. Just he had a little more anvils than I did. And yeah, just all in all, so much fun. So much fun.
I caught 2 references of stuff that I say rather frequently on the air, so I may need to ask you about your thoughts heading into to Season 2 of 2025, and if you want to invoke a little bit of stuff that Adam usually does on the air, you can meow into the mic. Actually, I won't do that. That would probably result in some sort of blackmail that people will collect on you, but thoughts heading into Season 2 of 2025?
Well, I'm just hoping for another great season. My real-life commitments might mean that I won't be able to do a full season, but yeah, just really excited to race with this great bunch of people again. I think James is gonna be a pretty big threat to the title, and Jason as usual again. So just really excited to bring on the challenge.
And keeping my fingers crossed that you'll be back for Season 2 of 2025 across the entirety of the Weekend Warriors. But of course, those real-life racing commitments always going to be at the forefront. But Tor, thank you so much for joining us in the commentary booth. Congratulations on the championship this season. And before we let you go and pop the champagne on your second championship in a row, is there anybody you want to give a thanks to or shout out?
Big thanks to Brevin Motorsport, and yeah, big thanks to the rest of the Weekend Warriors drivers, and to you guys, SMB.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tor, for joining us in the commentary booth, as you have done all throughout this season. Well done on the championship, well done on the win, and hope to see you back out on the racetrack for Season 2. Thank you for joining us, man.
Thank you for having me.
And that right there was Tortello. And Adam, I believe you have the Spec 2 winner, Mr. Russ Telker.
Russ Telker, you did it, buddy. Last race of the season. How in the hell did you stay up there with that lead pack?
Man, I don't even know how I stayed with them. We had that kerfuffle there in turn 1, and I managed to get on the inside of that and just held onto the back of Andrew. And yeah, just riding that draft and managed to stay with that lead pack and just race clean.
Yeah, you held on to the back of Andrew for a very, very long time there. Obviously, you got to wonder if Andrew was doing more mirror driving than he was actually out of his windshield, because I said windshield, these things don't have windshields, out of his in front of him, I should say, but because he was trying to protect that championship lead. Did you know that he was probably going to be doing that? And is that why? Because there was a bit of a sketchy moment going into turn 1 between yourself and Andrew Love.
Yeah, and that went 3 wide when I didn't expect it to. But yeah, I kind of felt bad because I did kind of push him off track a little bit. We didn't actually contact, but he stayed wide just to avoid me, and things happened. But
they do.
Yeah, that got a little exciting for a few different times there. That was, in general, just really fun racing up in the front group there.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like you had a great time, Russ. And you know what? Speaking of a lot of fun, I want to, before I ask you who your shout-outs are, I'm going to give you a shout-out, man. You have been a great guy, even though you're in the Army, but we're not going to talk about that. You've been a great guy, great friend to me, Russ, and I just want to thank you for all of the fun times we've had on our Friday nights and our Saturday nights or Saturday afternoons during these races, man. And I just want to thank you also for being a pretty big deal here in the Weekend Warriors, doing a lot of sponsoring and stuff for all the different series, and obviously the ALS Foundation, which is very near and dear to your heart, man. So yeah, I just want to thank you for being such a stand-up guy, Russ. But with that, is there anybody you want to thank or shout out before I let you go?
Probably about the same as last interview. The whole group, everybody that's racing here, all the guys that show up for the Friday night draft party, they have all contributed greatly to me getting faster and faster over the last couple seasons.
Yeah, absolutely, Russ. Well, thank you so much, man, and I look forward to talking to you next week, and I hope I'm going to be there. It's going to be tight for me with things going on in my life, but I hope I can be there for the V runoffs, and I hope I can give you a bit more run for your money. We can put two very beautiful paint jobs together. How's that sound?
Sounds perfect. Let's not be too close together, though.
Well, I mean, I got to keep my distance, dude. You were in the Army. I don't know what kind of diseases you guys have over there, you know?
Right? Yeah, you never know.
All right. Thank you so much, Russ, and have a
Thank
great
you.
rest of your day, man.
Yep, you too.
That was Russ Telker there, winner of Spec 2, and obviously, great drive from him, taking 6th place. Ron, who you want?
I'm going to bring in our Spec 2 champion at the end of this season. We believe Andrew Love. Welcome into the commentary booth. I believe the championship is yours at the end of this season. Came a little bit short in terms of grabbing the Spec 2 win here at VIR, but still a fantastic season for you from the drop of the green flag at Brands Hatch to the fall of the checkered here at VIR. So talk us through this race.
I was really surprised I was able to get up to the lead group and hang with them for a while. Until I made a couple mistakes there in the last 2 laps. I thought going around the outside of turns 1 and 2 would get me a jump into the NASCAR left-handers, but I just went too wide and I had to back off and I lost 4 or 5 positions, so that kind of bummed me out, but it was a great race. I enjoyed it. We were really clean, having a lot of fun. The pack worked well. I was just having a blast out there.
Yeah, it looked like you drivers involved in that front pack fight were having a whole lot of fun. Didn't really have any sort of like major explosions throughout that as well. It just looked like a rather smooth race, certainly hectic and probably terrifying at points in time, but it was a rather smooth battle all throughout the race.
Yeah, I was really worried. I know I had Alan, myself, and I think it was Parviter maybe, had gone 3 wide going into turn 1. And I saw in my rear view that Alan was sideways in the track, and I was worried that maybe I hadn't given him enough room. But after I watched the replay, it looks like I did give enough on the outside there, or on the inside. But yeah, that was scary for me because I was worried that I had caused something. I hadn't given enough room to allow those guys to go 3 wide.
Well, still a very good season for you. A very good race and a very good season for you all around. I believe, looking through, that was your 5th Spec 2 win thus far this season. Well, throughout the season. I don't think you're going to be adding to that considering we just wrapped it up. But very good season for you all around.
Yes, it was. I believe I came in, oh yeah, winning the season, my Spec 2 winning the season. Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
very good season.
Yeah, very good season for you all around. 5 wins in the Spec 2 category, including 3 straight in the opening 3 rounds of the championship. What are your thoughts on the end of this season, just the season that you had?
I'm bummed that I won't be able to make the week 13.
Oh
trip.
no,
Yeah.
Andrew!
No, I'm gonna be out at Summit Point. I'll be out there
that's
on down the main straight underneath the canopy. Actually, we won't have a canopy. It'll be too cold for us to be outside, so we'll be sitting in the truck. But we'll be down the main straight. So wave as you go by if you're going to driver's school.
There you go.
I mean, I gotta say, honestly, in terms of excuses to skip out on week 13, that's a pretty solid one. So hope you have a good time out there in 1 week's time. But Andrew, I'm gonna ask you, looking forward ahead to season 2 of 2025, and your thoughts heading into that new adventure.
Looking forward to some of the new fun tracks. I've given a couple suggestions and nominations for the ones I'd like. Maybe they'll come through, maybe they won't. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a hoot. And I think I'll stay Spec 2 for probably the next 2 seasons, and then I'll move up to Masters because I'm pretty close to Masters age again.
I was about to say, moving on from Spec 2, you may have to consult our producer, Mr. Wilkie, about how that can go either very well or very, very desperately wrong. I say that knowing fully well that he has control of my microphone as to whether or not it goes out on this broadcast here today.
Next season. There's always next season.
Yeah, but before I got myself fired, though, Andrew, I'm going to ask if there's anyone you want to give thanks to or shout out.
Thanks, Michelle, for sponsoring this race. It was a good race. Good season battle with Michelle and Russell. Congrats to Russell for winning Spec 2 today. thank you to Stevie and Jim for putting the league together and doing all the admin stuff and all the behind the scenes stuff, which I'm sure takes 3 or 4 times longer than the actual race. Thank you to everybody behind the scenes.
Awesome, man.
And to
Well,
you guys.
thank you for the kind words. Don't worry, it's all right. But Andrew, thank you for joining us in the commentary booth. Congratulations on the championship, and looking forward to seeing you back out on track for season 2.
Yep, I'll be there. Thank you, guys.
Josh,
and that
I'm
right
going
there
to
was
give you.
Andrew Love.
I'm going to give you one. I'm going to give you James Sheldon, Josh, because I think I'm going to have a little bit of fun with the last 3, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
So we're going to go ahead and drag James Sheldon down here. James did not have the greatest race ever, but he was up there for quite a while. I saw his comment there. He said he gives up. James, don't ever give up, man. There's always next week.
I just
Always
give up
next
that race. But
Yeah, it
next
looked like
season, I'm gonna
a tough
try.
one. Yeah, go for it.
Next season, I will try my best, because obviously I didn't compete all the races this time. I had some connection issues, so I've got it all sorted out. You didn't see me blinking, you only saw Nate blinking this time. So, so next season, I'm gonna give it a good go, see how it goes.
Well, that's excellent news. I was going to mention there, James, that you weren't around for every race this season, but when you were around, you were right at the pointy end of the spear there for sure, pretty much every single time. Looks like today, unfortunately, a little bit of contact with Tor there, ended up a little bit wide in one of the corners, and then pretty hard to catch up after that. But difficult track out there today. Is this one of your favorite tracks? Not so much. What do you think about this one?
Well, I love driving it. It's really nice to drive, especially when you get in the zone. Because I was doing a lot of official races, and you can just lap after lap. It just feels nice taking the turn, especially turn 3. I like taking that turn, especially when you get it right. But I thought that I would be a little off the pace, and I guess I was in the end because of Jason's lap. But yeah, I thought that I was surprised by my pace.
Yeah, I've kind of found the same thing around here. VIR is one of my favorite tracks, I think. Nice and flowy and fast, kind of old school sports car track. And this one, some of these can feel kind of tacked on, but this one actually doesn't feel super tacked on. I actually liked it, and we seem to always get good racing here. But looking forward into next season, James, you will be with us for the full season, it sounds like. And who do you think is going to be your main competition out there? It looks like Jason Green, Tor, I think, is going to be around, and Ethan Orr's been pretty pointy, as well as Coliseo. So there's quite a few drivers out there, but which one do you think is going to be your hardest competition there?
It's tough. I mean, because you'd think it would be Tor, but I don't know. Because Ethan's been doing well. I feel like he can only get better, really. And Jason, of course, Nate, like you said, Georg as well. All of those people are very difficult to beat.
Excellent. Well, that sounds like a pretty interesting season we're rolling into there. But is there anybody you'd like to thank out there, James?
Yeah, I'd like to thank you guys as always. Great broadcast. If I wouldn't be racing, I'd be watching. And thanks to everybody who's been doing this season. Very good racing. Loved it. And I hope I can race with all of them next season.
Excellent. Yeah, well, we will be lining up a new season here as soon as the schedule comes out, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you back out there again, James. So until then, will you be joining us for the Week 13 runoffs there? Are you going to be around for that one?
Maybe. We'll see. If
Well,
I'm
it's
there,
always a show.
Alright, thanks guys.
Right on, James. Have a good one. Take care. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
All right, here we go. So obviously this will be the final time, hopefully, I'm in the booth here for the Formula Vees. So there are 3 drivers up there that we haven't interviewed yet, and I'm going to go ahead and bring all 3 of these people down because all 3 of these people mean a little bit something to me here. So first person I want to talk to here, Mr. Brewster.
I'm just here for the points.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about kind of what happened. Obviously, there were 2 packs that formed. We want to talk about a little bit of racing here. We talked about it on the broadcast. There were 3 admins within very, very close proximity of each other during that race. Obviously, yourself, Michelle, and Stevie Ray. What goes through your head at that point? We know how good of a driver you are. We talked about it on the broadcast, how well you can defend, how cleanly you defend, but how hard you race. Did you give anybody any type of room, obviously because you were just here for the points?
Well, No, I'm here to announce the points. No, I was just trying to leapfrog with Michelle. That's all. And sometimes we were. We weren't always cleanly leapfrogging, so sometimes we were still side by side in turn 1, which is unfortunate, and that brought people to catch up with us. We weren't finishing a leapfrog before turn 1, which is you sort of need to do. Anyway, let me just tell you the championships. Our champion for S1 is Tor with 894 points. Jason was in second with 786, and Nate was third with 761. And Jorg Mani was between the two of them as our Masters champ. But let me just do Masters. Jorg was first, I was second, and Nick was third. And now the exciting part, S2, the one championship that hung in the balance today. We finished up with Andrew Love with 628 points, Michelle Lynn with 596, and Russell Telker with 575. Overall, they were 9th, 10th, and 11th in the championship. So congratulations to all those championship winners.
Thank you.
And we will see you all in 2 weeks when we start the new season.
Yay. And absolutely. And I actually thank you for that segue, Jim, because I'm coming straight to you, Michelle. First of all, Michelle, it was an interesting race. I saw you go a little bit wide there. Obviously, there were some battles going on and stuff, but still, you gained 3 positions overall in this race. So I think the fact that there's not an anvil on the top right corner of the screen may or may not have helped, because you were able to dodge a lot of incidents that most of the time you would get yourself involved in.
Okay, so first off, my brain is a little bit of a wash right now. There was a lot happening, but I had good pace at that track. I had a good setup at that track. And I was like super confident. It's a place I've raced in real life, though I am way braver in sim. And at the start of the race, I was just running with that giant train at the front and wasn't pushing too hard because we were gapping the cars behind. And then I don't know what lap it was, but in turn 1, somebody did something and I had to go off into the grass to avoid getting involved in that incident. And when I got back on track, I was in another pack, and by that point I was like full on red mist and just trying to drive as fast as humanly possible, cut every corner. I wanted to get back to that lead pack, and then like Jim said, we were trying to draft but not successfully.
Oh God,
really
we're watching
take the incline, and I wasn't in I wasn't in drafting mode, or I just wanted to I had pace. I thought I could catch up. Eventually, I got out of the pack. Sorry, I keep talking, but I'm not thrilled. I mean, I'm glad that it 10th place I think is still it's okay.
It's damn good.
I honestly, if I didn't have to go off in turn 1, I would have been running with Andrew and Russ, and that's what I wanted to do. But congrats to Russ for winning. Congrats to Andrew for the championship. He totally deserves it. And he's such a good guy to race with. So is Russ.
Right.
Congrats to Tor. Sorry, I don't know. Dude, I'm going to just save me, please.
Okay, I'm going to save you here, Michelle. So we're going to have to talk about a little bit of the exit. We just watched a replay of yourself and Jim. You got into the the pit entry painted area there to try to get around Jim.
Okay,
and we did not catch that on the broadcast, but we got it on the replay.
All right, so here's the thing. Last night in the draft party, I got pole with much help from Jason Green. And then at the beginning of the race, Jason Green and I kind of ran away, and Jason showed me how to pass on the front straight really successfully. Basically the car in the lead goes a little wide, the car behind takes the inside line, and no one has to lift, and you gain speed. And I wanted to do that with Jim, so I wanted to get on his inside so he would know that, and he didn't, I guess, know that. So I had to do a Jeff Jacobson maneuver there. Not the best, and then that was the last time I tried. But the inside is where the passing car needs to be so that we can actually gain on the cars ahead. So that didn't work.
Well, Michelle, I will tell you that only Jeff Jacobson can do Jeff Jacobson maneuvers.
You're
and
right.
we still talk about Jeff Jacobson in that maneuver. I believe that was around mid-Ohio, just driving it through the grass and passing 4 cars. I don't know if we're ever going to forget that, Michelle. But before I get to one more thing I want to talk about, I want to talk to you about being an admin of a league that has blown up over the past year, I'd say. And I talked about this on the broadcast. Sponsorships for the Formula Vees came in, and they were already secured way before the season started. When I say way before, you guys only have a fucking week, Michelle. Oh, no, sorry,
that's
Josh.
Fine.
Sorry.
It's fine.
Says Boomba.
Yep. Anyways, Yeah,
Philly
that's one.
speak.
Yeah, my bad. But you guys only have a week between the seasons, and it sounds like sponsorship's going pretty well for next season already. So first of all, as an admin, dealing with all the incidents and stuff after the race, number one, and number two, securing sponsorships. How hard is it? Like, this is almost like a full-time job. At least it is for me running XSLR as well.
When I started running with the V's, I don't know how long ago that was. It was basically the Sunday was the broadcast stuff, the surfs and the Formula Fords, and the V's were just like, they were the ugly stepsister. And so through sponsorships and getting them broadcast, we definitely have raised a lot of interest in it. And now we have these like ridiculous alien-filled groups. But as far as like getting sponsorship, it's getting easier. I already know a lot of people that want to sponsor for next season, so during next week I'll reach out to everyone, and I should have it lined up. I'm going to try not to sponsor 4 this year, though. I would like to try to not, maybe just do 2 if I can. But I also don't want the series not to be broadcast, because I think that I think it's pretty obvious that I love the V's more than anything else, and I want them to succeed. I know, it's so friggin' obvious, and I said friggin' instead of the other word, and I live in Philly, dude.
Let's go, Michelle.
All right, so I want to bring Jason Green here, actually, speaking of sponsorships, because Jason has talked about you quite a bit, Michelle. By the way, in case you didn't know it, you're kind of a rock star around here, okay? Even if you didn't know it, now you know. Jason said, maybe you should stop sponsoring draft tracks where you get anviled all the time.
Yeah,
that's kind of what you said, right, Jason?
He's not 100%.
Wrong. That's why I was telling her a second ago, 10th place is a really good finish for a race that she sponsored, so... whatever she did with the logo appeared to work.
Yep.
Okay, so Michelle, I want to do one more thing here. I want to thank you personally as a friend now. We're not talking about racing anymore. We're not talking about any other stuff. You reaching out to me, asking about my wife, and we were going through all the stuff we were going through for this pregnancy, Michelle. You not only... I met you through the Formula V's. I met you as an admin of the Formula V's, but I can now confidently say you've become a good friend, and I want to thank you for just being a good person over the top of everything you do for the Formula V's and for Weekend Warriors. I want to thank you personally for being there, and I think we're going to have some... Just because the Formula V season's over doesn't mean XSLR is over, Michelle. So we're still going to have quite a bit of fun. And I want to thank you very, very, very much. You do not know how much it means to me. Even if I didn't respond in a timely manner, because that's just how I am. Thank you for being such a good fucking... God dang it, I did it.
Friggin', we're using friggin'.
That's okay, we're loose now.
Yeah.
Oopsie.
So yes.
Well, listen, Adam, I'm going to save you now. Listen, seriously, I appreciate what you just said. I do consider you a friend as well. And like, we all love racing. A lot of us raced before in real life, and this is our hobby and it's fun. But like, family is family, and children are children, and babies, like, that's just way more important, and that's the real stuff. So I just want to wish you all the best with you and Sarah and the coming whatever it is. I know what it is, but I'm not saying because it's a broadcast. But anyway, I appreciate everyone here. I mean, Stevie has this amazing league, and it just attracts some not only like really fast drivers, but like good people, good community. And I've made so many friends in this group, and I love it. I love this racing, and I'm going to keep racing V's for as long as I can.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've now realized that I cannot talk to Michelle without cussing. I think that's just our language.
That is true.
So I apologize to Joshua for doing that, but I should be a bit easier here with Jason. Jason, number one, Tortullo again, like you said multiple times, if there's a photo finish, he's going to win him.
100%. Yeah, as soon as I realized it was going to come down to a photo finish, I already knew that I was coming in second. I thought I got enough of a gap in the last corner. I think I had like 0.25 seconds of a gap. But yeah, that was exactly the right amount to lose by 14 thousandths. So yeah, I had pulled off the 3 wide move into turn 1 on the outside earlier in the race. So I knew if I could get in that position, I could get into the lead. and then just try to build enough of a gap to get it by the line. But yeah, just a little short. But yeah, shout out to Tor. It was a great race and a great season season-long battle with him. So also Nate as well had a really good finish and getting third place in the championship. So shout out to him.
Yeah, and Jason, I'm going to save a lot of stuff for tomorrow because I have a feeling I'll be talking to you tomorrow in the officially last broadcast that I do. But I think I can speak for all the Weekend Warriors. With you coming in, being an admin, you can see the air quotes there, for everything that you do as well, looking over the incidents and all that stuff. Jason, I don't think you know how much it means for everybody to be able to do all that stuff. So I'm going to speak for myself and for all the Weekend Warriors when I say thank you for that, and thank you for putting in the time. Obviously, slow motion racing as well, man. Like what's going on over there is something that I definitely didn't imagine. And I don't think you imagined or Stevie imagined either. I mean, we've got drivers coming in now left and right. Michelle just joined. I think we had Guido, and then we had somebody else. I cannot remember who else just joined as well. But slow motion racing, the racing team is becoming a thing, man. Like that's pretty damn cool.
Yep. Yeah, it's cool to kind of pull in everybody from the 3 different leagues, Weekend Warrior leagues, and even the Tuesday league or the Wednesday league as well. So that's cool. Yeah, I recruited a bunch of the V people last night, so I think
I noticed.
Like you said, Guido, Ethan, Michelle, and maybe another person, but yeah. So that's growing, and that's really cool to kind of condense everybody into one place, and then so we can coordinate to race other series together. So that's been a ton of fun. But yeah, just it's I really enjoy being a part of this community, so and enjoy helping people get faster or just hanging out. So so yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and that's grown this season and last season with starting the podcast and getting more involved. So yeah, shout out to everybody in the community. Everybody is amazing, and it's awesome that we get so many people on every Saturday and Sunday.
It really is. So Jason, I'm gonna actually, Michelle, I think I'm gonna ask you guys both at the same time. We're running out of time here. Anybody you want to thank or shout out before we let you go for the final time here in season 1 of 2025?
Can I do an oddball shout out?
Send it.
I play bass for Andrea Nardello. I've been playing with her for over a year. So I'm gonna ask people to go check out Andrea Nardello on Spotify and iTunes. You can hear me play bass. And Ron, I sent you an invite if you're around tomorrow.
There you go. I'm looking through at the times. I would if I didn't have to do the Weekend Warriors stuff.
Yeah, that's
around
what I
the
figured.
same time.
Exactly.
And
That's
also,
why I'm not running. So
I've also got I've also got a race spot broadcast that night, which may make it a little bit tricky. But if I had the time, I definitely would, because I kind of mentioned it on the air. Michelle, Lynn, and I, both residents of the city of Philadelphia, that we both absolutely clown on, but still love with all of our hearts. And someday I need to make an appearance. I feel like I've done enough of these Weekend Warriors shows whereby people would be happy if I took a week off. So I may need to I may need to arrange something for next season.
Okay.
Jason?
Yeah, I'm gonna second Michelle's shout out. Go ahead and go check her out and her band. Yeah, it's gonna second that.
I heard Michelle's not a bad bass player, but that's.
I'm a way better bass player than I am a racer. I'll put it that way.
I mean, if you're
pretty damn
that
good,
you finished 10th today, gained 3 positions after dodging an anvil. So yeah, I'd say she's pretty good. Go check her out. But hey, Ron, it's your turn. Close us out, buddy.
Alrighty, sounds good. I'm not really sure what to say about this season other than it has been absolutely fantastic. Ever since the first broadcast here for season 1 of 2025, not even in 2025, it was back on December 21st of 2020, for the day after I turned 20. This season has been an absolute riot. From Brands Hatch through to VIR, we have had some absolutely brilliant racing, some records being set in terms of the drivers out there on the racetrack, and some incredibly close finishes that meant that we did not have a dull moment all throughout this season. We still got 2 more Weekend Warrior series to close off tomorrow, but as for the Formula V's this season, I think that may just about do it. And so, for myself, Ron Maunz, Adam Thompson joining us in the commentary booth and meowing in the into the microphone as well.
It breaks you every time. I love it.
Oh, yeah, it absolutely does. I feel like I need to come up with my own version to counter. But for myself, Ron Maunz, Adam Thompson joining me in the commentary booth. Josh Wilkie, who's been with us all season long here on the Formula Vee Weekend Warriors, working his absolute ass off, having to keep up with me in the commentary booth and also have to keep up with my commentary as he works all the cameras and the graphics and the virtual production hauler, all the people behind the scenes of the Formula Vee Weekend Warriors, and all of you tuning into these broadcasts all throughout the season. I say thank you all so very much for watching Season 1 of 2025 for the Formula Vee Weekend Warriors, and we hope to see you all wherever it is in the not-too-distant future. Season 1 of 2025. Let's see what sort of adventures that it has in store. And base cars way through the corner. That wasn't the crest doing him dirty.
First there right off the beginning is something you probably want to monopolize on right away, honestly, in a rain race.
Involved in that as well. Doden, I believe, is a newer racer. Oh, that's a big crash coming out of the corner. Right as I was mentioning all of those racers, that we saw him have that off-track moment not terribly long ago, and he has come back from a... And oh my god, that's a big wreck coming out of turn number 4. Multiple cars around. A little bit of contact going to Chris Montgomery as well. I saw that car kind of jerk around a little bit through that corner, but you can see Montgomery maybe got to size up a move on Colacio, as Colacio may try and get a move on him. That is 5-6 cars covered by just about nothing on this racetrack. Nearly 4 wide through the corner. Look at Coliseum going in way deep into turn 5. He's going to lose out on that spot on Chris Montgomery and maybe Coliseum. Too long contact being... Weekly Formula Vee Weekend Warriors crash him up Wreckfest at the checkered flag. May God have mercy on both Josh and I's graphics cards because the amount of dust